Hello, this is my friend Rachel. We go to seminary together and we've lived together in the past. Um, and we're going to talk to her about something she did this summer that really connects to what we're doing this week. So, Rachel, can you share with us what you did this summer?
Yeah, I would love to. Hi, everyone. It's so great being with you. So, this summer, I worked with the Federal Bureau of Prisons, and they have a central office in DC, and they have several chaplains working for them. And the chaplains help in the field at all the various prisons across the nation, all the federal prisons, that is. So, I've learned a lot about their experience and what it takes to be a chaplain in that setting this summer.
What did you learn about and what really stands out to you about your summer?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So, under the circumstances, it was a little different. So, with the coronavirus, it was all remote. So, it forced me to read a lot of material. So, I'd encourage you all to read some books just like Just Mercy, as well as Race to Incarcerate, Dead Man Walking. There's so many books about people's testimony from the chaplain's perspective, but also inmates and lawyers and everybody involved in the criminal justice system. So I read a lot about that and kind of went through and understood the injustice within the criminal justice system and how we can do our part to best cater for our incarcerated brothers and sisters, be in ministry with them, but also work on the policy side of things to ensure that everybody, that crime is addressed, but that we're doing it appropriately to restore people to a proper place in society and not cause any bias or anything to affect our judgments of these people.
What was some challenges about this internship this summer?
Yeah. I think one of the big ones is just logistically, right? With the coronavirus, I wasn't able to get in the prisons themselves and talk with the inmates. But other than that, challenging, I think it's just hearing the stories. I mean, a lot of the people within prison, like, they're people, just that. And to see some of the situations that they're going through, and some of the ways that society itself has marginalized them when they get out of the prisons themselves and try to reacclimate to society, like, that's really challenging. And we're not always willing to help or really see them as people, but we kind of force them to take on that title of felon for the rest of their lives, which isn't fair to them. They should be able to reacclimate to society peacefully and be recognized as fellow humans and get the rights that all of us have.
What was something that was life-giving about this internship for your summer and just for your future?
Yeah. I think it gave me a lot of perspective on the different ways that we can be in ministry with people, what the chaplain's role is. Was really powerful. Like, there's a lot of good that's happening within the prisons themselves. Like, people genuinely care, and they're working to make it a better place. So there's several programs that are in place to allow people who are incarcerated to have the opportunity to reacclimate into society, as well as to participate in worship or to gain an education. So there are people at work that genuinely care and want to make the system better. And so that was really life-giving to be a part of that and to gain some perspective so that I can further strengthen my ministry going on, but I can also inform others like this as to what's going on and how we can do our part.
So this week, part of our theme for our mission encounter has been our United Methodist social principles. And being that you're in seminary with me, you know a little bit about them, but how do you see what you did this summer connecting to the social principles of the United Methodist Church?
Yeah. So the social principles cover a lot. One particular aspect is the political community, I believe, and it talks a lot about the death penalty within that and then ministry to people who are incarcerated. So a part of the social principles is that the United Methodist Church is against the death penalty. And to inform you all, there actually have been 3 recent executions at the federal level, which is new within the past 13 years or so. My math is off, but it's like 2003 or so is the last time that we had a federal execution. And now they're starting up again. And actually in the next couple weeks, we'll have 2. And so I'll give you those names and you can pray over those individuals. But the United Methodist Church is against the death penalty. So I've been able to explore that and the ethics behind it, how to properly minister to the people who are going to be executed, but also their families, the families of the victims, the staff involved. There's a lot of people with a lot of different emotions and a lot of different feelings towards executions in general. So, but I want to stand firm in that belief of being against them, but also caring amidst the process. So that's been a huge part. And then just trying to make sure that the criminal justice system is doing its part in restoring individuals to a great place in society. That's where the United Methodist Church stands in trying to ensure restorative justice rather than just focusing on the punitive side of things. So my internship has done a lot of that in focusing on how we can do our part as a church to ensure that happens.
So with all this information, what can the youth do, or what can they learn, or how can they get involved in this kind of ministry or this kind of political activism?
Yeah, I think there's a lot. I think for me, what I really took away from this internship was all of the educating that I did of myself and my own preconceived ideas of what the system even looked like, who was involved. So I'd really encourage you all to learn, read some books. Like I mentioned earlier, Just Mercy is a great book, also movie. Dead Man Walking as well is a great book and movie. The New Jim Crow, also great. I would just encourage you all to do your research and not let social media or any of that kind of sway your ideas on what's really happening. And also I'll give you the names. So Keith Dwayne Nelson and Lesmond Charles Mitchell are actually set to be executed at the end of August. So I'd encourage you all to pray for them, pray over their families, pray over the victims who are involved, research what happened, and also the staff that is trying to care and appropriately do so in such a complex situation. I'd encourage that. And if you have the opportunity to involve yourself in prison ministry, definitely do so. I'm hoping to see what a prison looks like sometime in the near future and would love all the company I can get.
So my last question is, were there any scriptures that really spoke to you this summer as you went through this internship?
Yeah, I wrote a few down. 2 Corinthians 5:18 through 19, and I'll read that for y'all. It says, "All this is from God, who reconciled us to himself through Christ and has given us the ministry of reconciliation. That is, in Christ God was reconciling the world to himself, not counting their trespasses against them, and entrusting the message of reconciliation to us." So it's our duty as Christians to really focus on reconciliation, and I think that speaks a lot to the criminal justice system in particular. And there's one other that I absolutely love is Galatians 3:28. So it says, "There is no longer Jew or Greek, there is no longer slave or free, there is no longer male and female, for all of you are one in Christ Jesus." So it shows a lot of the solidarity and unity that we all have as fellow humans, really. And so I think we need to really do our part to ensure that all people, regardless of position in society, are welcomed within the Christian community.
I just want to thank you, and I appreciate you coming today, last minute kind of, and sharing your story of your summer. And I hope in the future you continue to learn about it, and maybe one day you'll even get to come meet our youth. She lives locally, so
I would love that.
we can see maybe that she could come live to youth group one night and just participate with us.
Absolutely.
Thanks again,
Thanks,
and
Amy.
I hope you have a great week.
Thank you.